Do you start page 1 and just work your way through?
Yeah.
That's how it usually works?
That's a preview drawing of the airplane with a wings folded figure like this. And this is the configuration as it is right now. Just kind of a cutaway showing the fuel tank, ribs.
Well, you said fiberglass wings though, but those aren't fiberglass, are they?
Oh yeah, this is all fiberglass.
It's all fiberglass skin, steel structure.
Steel structure.
Oh, gotcha. I was looking over there, it's pretty smooth.
Yeah, well that's
skin then,
fiberglass.
okay.
Now these are kind of a sequence of operations how you build the airplane with different depths and phases, you know. Weight and balance information.
It flows very well. Even when you age as much as I did while you're building it.
Yeah. These are a layout of the tubing or the different sizes of. That's what these markers is. The layout of these. I didn't waste no space on drawings. You can see how we showed the fuselage being made a ladder, how it's cut in two, the main spar put in, what it looks like afterwards, what it looks like here, what it looks like with the spar in. And then the rest of that page we show the vertical tail and the rib structure. See? So these are not what you call factory drawings because I put as much detail on a drawing as possible. This is a layout of the sides of the airplane.
Would carbon tubes do any better or not really?
Well, they'd be lighter. As a matter of, we had a right B-flyer at Dayton that was built out of steel. We decided to put carbon fiber tubing in it, 1 inch. It was lighter. But for every joint we had to make a complex coupling to make all them things come together. Right. Each time you add all them complex fittings up, you get a bit lighter. But we had all these cable braces in there. So the second right B-flyer we built it completely out of steel and we didn't put the carbon fiber in. The nose gear is showed in a completed configuration, front and side view, and then it showed up in a blowout. Now this drawing scares people to death because they look at it in pieces and they say, how in the world can I do that? And I did it without having a milling machine, without having a lathe. Now I had a couple of things I had to turn some bushings down on the lathe, and hacksaw and welding equipment. Right, Gary? Now he's got all the equipment in the world, so he don't have to worry about it. He just put it on the one machine, punch it, CNC, and make it.
The only time I needed a lathe, I borrowed it from a friend.
Yeah. This is an engine mount details and the steering mechanism. And
everybody's aware it's got one brake pedal?
Yeah.
And a steering wheel.
And I have one brake pedal and a steering wheel. I don't use individual brakes.
You weld your own motor mount?
I weld everything.
What are they?
Yeah. And this is the landing gear. Showed it, the fittings on the landing gear. Now this other drawing over here will be showed first. This is a torsion bar in the middle that holds the landing gear together. This is 6150 steel that turns on pillow blocks. This is a perspective view, kind of get an idea what the gear system looks like in the airplane. And the steering, nose gear, this is a retracting link and this is a retracting link. And this is a counterbalance spring. And this is all the things that go, this is a counterbalance spring I'm talking about on the gear. And the angles and mechanism. Now, it might look complicated, but anybody's had any mechanical ability could flip it, you know.
The main gear suspension, it just comes from the switch from the pipe. What takes up the bounces on your main gear?
What does what in?
The main gear, what takes up the bounces or the give?
It's torsion bar.
Torsion bar. This winds up here.
It winds up on here.
It bottoms against the main spar.
Yeah,
right here.
It transmits all that load into this big belt crank right here.
So he just, when he turns, just
twists like this.
Like a torque.
And then when you retract it, you unlock this here, this mechanism, and this just goes up and folds up in the wheel well.
On mine at least, I take, once mine lifts off, I get it into ground effect, I retract the gear, it automatically goes into 120 knot climb.
Yeah. Firewall, nose gear box, mechanism for the landing gear, uplock. These are kind of details of what the uplock looks like on the gear, the nose gear downlock mechanism. instrument panel, steam gauges. Notice steam gauges. No glass. Didn't have glass cockpits back then. And an old Narco Super Home. You know, anybody know what that is?
We got one in the case at the new demo.
What is it? A mic?
That was 1960. That was a front runner of navigational radio.
Yep. One of the earlier, VORs.
Yeah. Pilot seat. This is the back seat on it. The reinforcement, the landing gear handle, rudder pedals.
Back seat's pretty comfortable with a straight back like that, or?
Worked great.
My daughter rode from Superior to Danville, Kentucky in it. She was the person on either side can stretch their legs out, and it's pretty comfortable. Whoever's in the middle, if you got three people in
cramped
there,
up.
they're cramped up a little bit. But she was comfortable. I used the memory foam in the cushions, and
Well, just about any plane. I mean, you're pretty cramped. This one is like it's like a stadium compared to most, isn't it?
Well, legroom is the primary.
Control system and a mixer. This is a mixer that makes these elevons work like this or like this. They work in unison, or up and down, or differential.
So all instructions are listed in
All
your
instructions
text.
are
There's no separate booklet.
I don't furnish a booklet. I just put it on and go. And this is a full size of the spar fittings, where the fittings are made, where the wings come apart. The pit pin that holds these together on the ground. That's what the elevons look like. The ribs in here, the spacing of the ribs of the spar axle. And skid bar here on the tail post.
Can you please, there we go. How did you figure out the reflex? Because obviously there was no computer.
No.
You had to sit down and really do it, right?
Well, I went to Germany and talked with Lippisch, and I loaded all the German stuff on their Delta wing research, and I was able to gain invaluable information from the Germans. Lippisch gliders. The Lippisch gliders in the museum in Dayton, Ohio right now. The Germans were ahead of us on Delta wings, and they had the Delta wings right after the war, right at the end of the war. So Alexander Lippisch was actually the father of the Delta wing.
Yep.
So in order to get all the information I needed, I went to Germany and visited them and went through all their libraries and all their details they had, and they gave it to me. And that was valuable, very valuable information.
So you actually spoke to Lippisch?
Oh yeah. Got to know him real well.
And what year is that?
About 1960. Well, I was first in Germany in '54, and I went back again in '62, '61. Yeah. He came to the United States, worked with NASA in '60. Started working with NASA right after the war. And I met him in Germany in '54, but he come over here to work for Langley Air Force Base as one of their foremost engineers, all through the '60s. And he developed, the F-102 fighter was one of his developments in the Air Force, one of his wings. The A-4D Navy fighter, several of them he did a lot of work on.
But specifically, so then you sat down with this plan form, and then you guys figured it out, or you just
Well, I just looked at some of the stuff he did with reflexes, and there was a book out, German aerodynamics, can't think of the name of it, but they had these reflexes in there, and a lot of study on what reflexes would do to an airfoil. They've changed the pitching moment of the airfoil. And now there's been a lot of newer stuff put out, but that was my basis. And then the rest of it just building all kinds of little models and testing.
Models?
Yeah.
Like RC, free flight, or?
Well, I didn't have the advantage of having RC. Mine were all free flight.
Free flight?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. With rubber bands and gasoline engines.
So did you do some of those? You did some of those rubber powered?
Oh yeah, I built all different kind of models.
I mean, to test the reflex.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get out of you now, reflex.
Yeah.
I want to know how you get that reflex. Because once this thing is built, you got to test it. You got to know it works. So the models proved it.
My airplane, the reflex is bolted together because I've changed it 3 times.
Okay.
the plans are all riveted together and bonded because it's all set right now. You don't need to bolt it. You don't need to move it anymore. See? Yours is riveted. Yeah. I mean, I show rivets on the plan. But on the prototype, they were bolted. They were bolted with little screws, and then I would change it. I could change the reflex. Because if your reflex angled up, so you'd have to change the slot.
Uh-huh. That's very interesting.
This is the fuel tank layout. The fuel tank is a wet wing. In other words, it's made in that turtleback. That whole back, he holds 60 gallons of fuel. And that window back in there is 60 gallons of fuel in that system. And it's made out of all epoxy fiberglass.
Are those baffles for slosh or just for structure or?
Well, they're both. They're for anti-slush, and it also is a tremendous structure to it. Yeah. The fittings. Of course, it's all detailed in his writing. Right, Al?
Exactly.
And
one of the, I like this format because this detail instruction and procedure is right there with the part when you're making it.
We're on production drawings. You looked at the instruction book, then you went and looked at the blueprint, transposed it back and forth. The canopy was made and fabricated out of steel tubing, 4133/8 tubing. It was made in such a form that you could use flat planes of plexiglass and not have to have compound curves. But I just didn't have the way to make a compound curve.
Has anyone tried? Not the rounded, but just the curve like that in a single piece. Another guy down in Florida does a real good job. Todd's canopies.
I don't know about him. He had to be done, yeah, I'm sure. The new technology got today, you know. The wiring diagram in the airplane. The strut that holds the wings together when they're folded. They fold over like this. And they don't touch one another when you're on the road. Separate them about an inch. And this is a parts list on the whole airplane. And there's a few items that I've missed. Not very many. All good.
That is such an amount of work. It's incredible.
Yeah, I had these prints. I was out of blueprints. Now, believe it or not, blueprint companies I used to be able to have these prints made, copies for about $15. Now it's cost me right at $75 a copy to have printed. And they wanted extra to bind them. So I got to take them back and have them bound because I put them out in loose leaf mold. I got to send these to Australia, by the way. There's 2 airplanes being built in Australia. Now another guy wants to build one so they can have 3 down there. Now believe me, in logistics, getting parts and everything, the problem they have to go through with in Australia to get stuff shipped to them, you know. Now there is some parts made in Australia, aircraft hardware. But it gets much more complicated than it is here.
Mine came bound, stapled.
Yeah,
I took them apart.
Yeah, you tear them apart.
Yeah, usually.
I put them between plastic. I was looking at it.
Yeah, because you only need one piece for like a while.
Yeah.
So you only want to carry everything for fun.
Right.
Sounds logical.
And then put them between plastic.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to take them apart when I get home because I'm going to have them bound.
Have you seen the 30s Delta from Europe?
Which one?
30s?
Yeah, yes, I have seen it.
What do you think about that guy?
It's an amazing performance in that little thing, you know. I didn't add it. The guy in France was building up a rounded canopy. It sat in a hangar for. I missed one drawing. This is a bigger drawing. I have to pull it. There was an airline pilot in Germany that bought that airplane off of Pierre Robin, and he put did away with the rounded canopy, and he put the right prop on it, and he moved the engine back where it's supposed to be, and he's been flying now for about 10 years, just loves it. And I can't get him to come over here. Now, he's having so much fun in Europe, he don't want to come over here, right? But it just goes to show that Pierre Robin was so dead set on having a 200 light foaming engine and a 3-blade constant feed Hartford prop that weighed 65 pounds. He got his CG completely out of kilter.
There was a guy last year I met. filling up fiberglass, or he was filling up fiberglass amphibian like this. You guys know what happened to him?
Amphibian.
Yeah. He asked about some fiberglass work not down here. And when we over there.
Yeah,
I don't see him here this year.
She was a great help. Yeah. She had brain cancer. And
She also flew the airplane a lot.
she also flew the airplane, yeah.
It's pretty easy to fly.
It is.
I always say it flies like all aircraft should, but don't.
I transitioned from my 8A Luscombe into this airplane. I had ridden with a couple of people and recognized immediately on landing here in Oshkosh with one of them what he was doing wrong. And I just went out. My high-speed taxi tests were about an hour and a half total.
Yeah.
But I'm on an uncontrolled airport. I can go both ways.
These drawings are full size of a T-tail. Now, he doesn't have the T-tail.
I do.
You do. Gary does. And I don't. I don't need to.
Well, I left my trim tabs where I landed.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay. I'll look at them.
Are these available at all or no?
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah.
From you or from
me.
the group? Yeah.
Yeah. I have a guy did these on CAD, and they're on a disc right now. I'm trying to get him to reduce them down because they're so bundlesome to handle full size. You know, these could be half size and would serve the purpose without being full size drawings.
Send you a check for that, or
Huh?
how do you go back get them?
Well, I'd have to. You got my address?
Yeah, I did plan for back when.
Go back when? Okay. Well, send me a letter sometime. Remind me. I've got guys remind me on this leading edge, detail, and I just have to do it.
Okay, I'll send you a
On that leading edge, is that form linear? If you were to mark off a root rib or a root rib on it and a tip rib, and mark it off in graduations, could you then run a line between those two and match? It changes?
non-linear.
Okay.
Sorry.
As you get out to the tip, it's got more droop.
Okay.
So it's not.
So there are no straight lines on it.
When I say non-linear, it's elliptical. That's the other term. Either you're linear or you're elliptical. It's elliptical. That's the droop only.
There's a twist.
The wing is not elliptical. It's straight planform.
Yeah.
No, there's no cover.
Right.
But
Yeah,
but the droop does droop down. If you look, any of you, well, Burt returns Burr Biggin. I knew Burt when he worked for.
Close up.
Okay, we gotta go. That'd be good. We gotta go anyway. Burr Biggin had a little droop out like that. Original Burr Biggin, he made out with steel. Thank you. Thank you.